Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome again to the Auburn Gresham Roundtable. This is the 19th roundtable in our series of roundtables that commenced in May of 2020 as a result of the coronavirus epidemic that forced all of us into shelter in place mode, and the city's unprecedented reaction to that was to create this online virtual format that allowed us to continue reaching out and engaging the communities in the various neighborhoods in which we have roundtables in our Invest Southwest portfolio of communities. And so I'm going to enable the live transcript because it was requested. All right, so I want to continue to happily and excitedly remind this community that, in my opinion, this is one of the best Invest Southwest portfolio neighborhoods in the Invest Southwest community of 10 areas. Auburn Gresham continues to get an unprecedented level of investment, and I think we've been able to see the synergies and the catalytic level of engagement between public and private parties, as well as foundational. Let me give you a few examples of some of the good things that are happening in Auburn Gresham, as I remind you every time we meet. We're looking at the Auburn Park Metro Station. That is a $30+ million investment by Metro, facilitated in part by the city in our conveyance of the lot that will be used for a park and ride. We're talking about the expansion of Jerk Villa into a sit-down full-service restaurant. They are a Neighborhood Opportunity Fund recipient. We are excitedly looking forward to that grand opening, hopefully this summer. We are also looking at the Auburn Gresham Apartments request for proposals, which is a two-site development that has successfully completed the first step of the legislative process that went through the Community Development Commission in May. That'll be a $30+ million investment and bring 30 affordable units of residential housing as well as commercial uses in that development. Then we have the Healthy Lifestyle Hub brought to us by the Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corporation at 839 West 79th Street. That is a tremendous project, nearly $20 million, not exactly $20 million, but facilitated in part by city funding, as well as the infusion of assistance for the retail units that are going to be developed, and those are also receiving Neighborhood Opportunity Funds. We've also got the anaerobic digester, which is going to be a plus 300, 400 job creator. That is facilitated in large part by a planned development of a city site and a conveyance of property over at 650 West 83rd Street. So we've just been, I think, excited to see the progress of this community, and not one that we are planning for tomorrow, but we're looking to transform this corridor from the center out and hopefully envision a Auburn Gresham 5 to 7 to 10 years from now. And with that, we need everyone to get on board and support the transformation of this neighborhood, because it is coming. It is long anticipated. You guys deserve this and so much more. And we're just excited. I'm excited to be part of the developing Auburn Gresham at this time in the history of the 17th Ward. So with that, again, we're excited this evening to bring to you another roundtable, our 19th in the series. We've also had 3 in-person workshop meetings plus 2 visioning workshops. And so this community plus facilitated 2 town hall meetings in conjunction with the Alderman's office. And so we have met over 20 times to hear from you, but also to report out what the city is doing to, lead and transform this community. So tonight we have a very short agenda, and usually we have some action-packed, news and views and projects to bring to you. But tonight we have a very short agenda, and we're going to have community updates brought to us by the Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corp at the end of our program. But first, we're going to start with a Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events report through the Artist in Residence program. And we're going to have a wonderful update here by our Artist in Residence, Dorian Sylvan. So Dorian, I have your slide, so I'll bring up your deck here, and I will yield the floor to you. So Dorian, welcome to the roundtable.
Right. Well, thank you. Very excited to be here tonight. Is very excited to be selected last year as the Artist in Residence for Auburn Gresham. I'm a lifelong South Sider, grew up in the South Shore neighborhood. And as an artist, I have had 4 decades of experience from working as a set designer in the Black theater movement, working as an educator, a curator, and most fundamentally to my practice is my life as a painter. And that, let's see, okay, here we go, great, okay. So yes, it's been a lot of fun. Last year was spent really developing more relationships and building more community trust and listening to community about what the interests are when it comes to public art. So this first slide is actually an image of a public art day that I had at the Mariano's in Bronzeville, if anybody shops over there. And we had a day in which my team, that consists of my 3 boys plus a lot of other amazing young emerging artists on the South Side. But we primed the space, and as you can see, there are already lines kind of pre-drawn, and we invite a community to come out and work. So this is going to be a similar idea in the sense that we would like to have community actually involved in this mural, in the creation of painting this mural. So the project is called Colors of Community. And throughout the last year, as I mentioned, I've been involved. Actually, go to that next slide, Patrick. Community engagement is a big part of my practice. What I like to do as an artist is to amplify the voices of community, be it a school community, be it a neighborhood, or quite frankly, even if it's, as I'd mentioned, my roots are in theater, even if it's around the idea of what is a story that's being told. And I oftentimes parallel my experience as a set designer in the community theater as being very parallel to what I do as an artist out here as a muralist. I'm trying to get the story, and I want to get the story from the residents. So last year we had a few events at Afro Joe's in which we did some holiday craft making. I ran a 8-week program through a Thurgood Marshall library. We had about 12 young students who participated in a mural making, being educated on mural making, and we were focused on the theme of Thurgood Marshall. And then we've also had a couple of events in Cookie's Lounge, and my intention was to really grab and interface with a wide variety of people in Auburn Gresham. So down to the little kids, to the high schoolers, to some of the seniors. So these are just some images of some of those events last year. Okay, so the next slide really just kind of defines what my goals are. As an artist, and particularly as a public artist, one of the things that I really focus on is creating a more vibrant and colorful landscape. that promotes community well-being. And I mean that in the sense of the emotional value that living in a colorful, creative environment can encourage in people versus what so many of our neighborhoods are plagued with right now, which is blight. And so I find public art as one of the ways to combat that. Also, to use mural making to bring community together and to facilitate an impactful conversation. So all these conversations I was engaged in last year, as well as even this year, are really all about what are we as a community interested in seeing, having, and representing and amplifying. Also to utilize Afrocentric designs and patterns as a core aesthetic. And that actually is a continuation of the artistic legacy that already exists in Auburn Gresham, through not only the banners that you see on the light pole signs, but the impressions in the concrete, as Adinkra Symbols were impressed to continue that idea of positive symbolism, Afrocentric symbolism for our neighborhood. Also to expose and train youth to the practice of mural painting. And then lastly, to support emerging artists by creating multiple participation pathways that are rooted in public art. So these last two items, in terms of my goals, I'll talk about a little further down the road. We can go to the next slide. So this is the location. I've had so many conversations over the past year or so about walls and sites for our mural. And so we finally got permission to use this wall at 7901 South Racine. As you see, it's a beautiful wall for a muralist. When I saw it, I was just really excited. It's a nice, smooth, even wall, and it's quite stately. So we get sight lines from very far away, which is another thing that I was looking for when it came to a final site. Next slide, please. And so this, based upon my conversations and the art making projects that I have done over the past year or so, this is a culmination of a lot of the ideas. It's still rooted in the idea of the Adinkra Symbols, trying to promote positive messaging through symbolism. And so in this particular sketch, it shows the Adinkra Symbols that speak to not only creativity, nature, energy, hope, safety, knowledge, and strength. So these are all symbols that we feel are messages basically to the community. Next slide, please. So the students, one of the things that I really work towards in my practice is to find ways to bring young people into the fold. Unfortunately, so many of our young people, young Black people in particular, live in what I would qualify art education deserts. And so there really just are not a lot of opportunities for them to put their hands on actual art making, let alone to work on such a large scale, a piece of art that is actually a gift to community. So we have gotten very cozy with Leo High School, and we just love it over there. We love the art teacher there. We love the students. And so we've had a couple of days where we went in to Leo and worked with the art teacher to facilitate a collage project in which we were asking students to think about what their relationship is to Auburn Gresham. Some are residents, some come in just for school. So it was a really interesting prompt that was answered in many, many different ways. These photos show the classroom experience. And one of the things I just want to point out at the top slide is that one of the things that I like to lay out in these projects is I cut words out of newspapers, kind of like headlines, and I stretch them all out in a very random fashion. And then the students are asked to search through those words and string together thoughts, ideas, phrases, whatever resonates with them in relation to the statement, I am Auburn Gresham. And so it really, the students were just so wonderful and came up with a lot of creative, everybody did their own collage. I'm sorry these slides don't show a close-up of the individual ones, but these students are going to be the foundation of our student helpers this summer. We're hoping to get 5 to 9 students from Leo High School and or Simeon. If we don't get enough from Leo, but they are paid fellowships for the summer. Each of these students will be earning $1,000 at the end of the project. It is a 6-week project, and we've got so much lined up for them, aside from helping me paint this mural, as you guys saw on the previous slide. It's a pretty big mural, and it's going to take a lot of work. But we're also offering them some leadership skills. We're offering them professional working days, and we want to take them on field trips. One of the things that many of you may know is that our students don't really travel outside of their neighborhood often enough. And so we really want to get the students out to neighborhoods like Pilsen to see the amazing public art that's happening all around that neighborhood. Hyde Park also has quite a bit of mural work going on. And so that's going to be incorporated in their experience for the summer. So it's not going to be just paint, 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 paint. They're going to really do a lot of stuff. And then at the end of it all, be able to put a few dollars in their pocket for the following school year, hopefully. Next slide. So I am Auburn Gresham. This is a website that I'm currently building. That's actually just a stock photo. I thought it was our kids from Leo, but it's not. I'll be switching that soon. But what I want to do, even when I have had these collage sessions with adults, say at Cookie's Lounge, for example, that is the theme. I am Auburn Gresham. What is Auburn Gresham? What is it today? What do we want it to be? How are we trying to reimagine it? And so this conversation through social media, the students that we have this summer will also be engaging and answering that question. Sometimes it'll be through photo documentation. Maybe they're just looking at the neighborhood. Maybe they're just documenting 79th Street and what's going on 79th Street. But all of these expressions we want to be thought of and highlighted as authentic expressions of the community, the neighborhood, the people, the places, the events that make Auburn Gresham so special. Next slide. All right, so here are the Adinkra symbols. This is a foundation of a lot of the design work that I and the students have been doing over the past year. Many of you are familiar with these symbols because you see them around the neighborhood. Certainly the symbols such as energy and creativity. I know I've seen that a lot around the neighborhood. So I wanted to bring this slide up just so that people can see these symbols on their own and also see them in relation to what their meaning is. I know you see the word, the symbol strength around Auburn Gresham quite a bit. And so these are all symbols and ideas that I felt were really important to put into the mural. Next slide. Okay, some important dates.
Trying to drink nothing right now. We're cooling out.
So we are getting ready to kick off. Excuse me.
No, we don't need nothing. Thank you, though.
April, know her mic is on.
I'm gonna check you out, Sandy. I'm gonna come through there. I'll at you.
Okay, look forward to seeing you.
Okay, April. Oh, there you go. Okay, so important dates. So we're getting ready to kick off. I'm actually still in the process in my studio of completing some more renderings, getting our paint materials ordering equipment. So the week of June 27th is actually going to be our kickoff week. That's a Monday, and that's going to be the orientation week for our students. And that's also going to be the week that we start prepping the wall. So we'll probably be power washing, priming it, projecting the drawing up there at some point. And then right after the holiday, after the July 4th holiday, that's when we're going to actually start the mural painting. So not only are we going to be on site 4 days a week painting, but we're also going to have community paint days, which will be announced soon. I don't have it on tonight's presentation, but we have an element of the murals, which are going to be 12-inch circles that we're going to allow the public to come and paint their own Adinkra symbols. We're going to have templates or stencils available, and people will be able to create and paint their own Adinkra symbol on a circle that will later be installed as part of the overall mural design. So these will be elements, unlike the first slide I showed you where people are actually painting on the wall. These elements are actually going to be painted on the tabletop so that community members, neighbors are able to just come over, work at their leisure. Then once a piece is dried and once we start installing them all, they will ultimately see it as part of the overall mural. So we're real excited about that aspect and hoping that we get a lot of participation. And then lastly, if everything runs as scheduled, we are planning to have a ribbon cutting on Saturday, August 13th, in which we can have community come out, celebrate what the young folks have done. We're going to have art making activities available, and hopefully just a day to celebrate a beautiful, colorful addition to Auburn Gresham. And then last slide, I hope I wasn't talking too much, but I did want to get feedback. Just a few question prompts that I was thinking of is there a day of the week that works best for community engagement? And I was wondering if that should be the type of thing that is scheduled on like a weekend so that we have more people participate, or if, we felt that a weekday would also be as successful. I'm also interested in what aspects of the design do you like the best? What things speak most strongly to you? And then if there were any Adinkra symbols that you think maybe we have missed and would like to see incorporated in the final design. Actually, Patrick, can we scroll back down to the slide that showed the Adinkra symbols on it in case anybody wanted to refer, yeah, that right there, if anybody wanted to refer back to that. And then we can probably go back to the rendering also in a moment. So I'm gonna turn it over to you guys, and really interested in what your thoughts are as we are gearing up to start putting some paint on that wall.
Yeah, I see Hank has his hand up. Go ahead, Hank, speak freely.
Certainly, thank you. I wonder why it's limited to simply Ghana and not other countries in Africa.
Well, only because there was already a tradition of using the Adinkra symbols throughout Auburn Gresham. I typically do use resources from Northern, Western, Southern Africa. But one of the things that I run into constantly as a designer is that as much as you would like to put everything in it, you have to kind of narrow it down. So my intention was really just trying to riff off of what had already been established in the neighborhood, not to be exclusive. Elaine, I see your hand is up. I'm sorry, should I be?
Yep. No, you're fine. You're Dorian.
Just a quick question.
Okay,
I'm wondering in your plan, or maybe you have done this also, are you going to include students who are in public school like Westcott, who those students do live in the community?
And I could just be real honest here. We had reached out to Leo, Simeon, and the CYDI because I went to visit that school and was very impressed with what they're doing. But we weren't trying to be exclusive, but we just got such an enthusiastic response from Leo that we just kind of went with the road of least resistance of sorts. But the intention, actually, we do have some feelers back out at Simeon, and I'm not familiar with the school you just mentioned. What was that again? Let me make sure that that's not.
I think it was Westcott. It's on
Westcott.
at Vincent's. It might not be. I thought that that might be the name, but
Okay, and that's a high
Yeah,
school.
no,
It's an
no,
elementary
it's not-
school. It's
yeah.
not a high school.
Oh, no, we're looking for high school students, yeah. Now, the elementary school students, I definitely would hope that families come out on those paint days and bring younger people. But we did want to focus these fellowship opportunities to high school students.
All right. Anybody else? I see in the chat that um, Principal Rawls said that he would love to donate the lot, their parking lot, for anything you might need in terms of staging. So that's great.
Perfect. Actually, Patrick, can we slide back down to the rendering that shows the design on the building,
Mhm.
just for point of yeah, there we go, just for point of conversation, so people have it fresh in their mind. Yes, thank you, Shaka. I'm sure we, if we hadn't, we're intending to ask you about that, so that's nice to know.
This is great. This is great. Okay, are there any other questions for Dorian or the Artist in Residence program? I think she laid out her schedule. We're looking forward to those action days where you're going to have the folks come out and, you know, get their fingers dirty with the ink and the paint. And we look forward to August 13th at the big unveiling.
Perfect.
Patrick, can I just, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
can I just
yeah,
ask,
go
and
ahead.
I know
Yeah,
this is an Auburn Gresham and West Southwest call, but Dorian's doing a lot of work along our 79th Street corridor, not just east of, or I'm sorry, west of the Ryan, but also coming up east of the Ryan, and the work tying in the anaerobic digester at 83rd Street. So Dorian, can you kind of give us a broad brush of the work that you're doing in and around Auburn Gresham?
Yeah, and it's really interesting just how many things have come up on 79th Street, but I'm actually the lead artist on the pop court that is coming on to, that is going to be built on 79th and State Street, and that's part of the Chatham, the Greater Chatham Initiative.
the Mahalia Jackson Pop Court.
Right,
Yep.
the Mahalia Jackson Pop Court. So I'm the lead artist on that, and reeling in a lot of other amazing artists to work on that. So that's been exciting. And then also I'm doing a community collage with UIC. They're going to be housed in the Healthy Hub. And so we're doing I'm doing a project with them that's called Faces of Community, that there'll actually be hopefully a lot of marketing these next few weeks, because the intention is to get people to send in photos of either people, places, or events that have happened in Auburn Gresham. And those photos will be included in a large community collage. So we're getting ready to kick off the campaign to get start getting these photos going. So yeah, I'm going to be just all on 79th Street this summer. That's just it's all about 79th Street this year for me.
Wait, hold on, we have something in chat. Yes, yes, exactly. So Norma just said it all right here. She says to CJ and Miss Wilson, this is your first capstone project over here in Auburn Gresham. Obviously, you know, we want to do one at a time, but we are looking forward, and I know that DK feels the same. We've been in a lot of the same meetings. We look forward to, you know, more opportunities to continue working with you, Dorian, but we are so excited about this first one. It's not even your first one. You've already worked all over the city, but this is a big one here. And so we're really excited about this. And I know that from the comments so far, the community here on this call tonight feel the same way. So congratulations again.
Thank you.
You know, we do some finger snapping for you here.
Okay.
And, you know, we love that you're bringing the young people along with you on this ride. So it's fantastic.
Yes,
Are there
that's
any
been
other,
great.
are there any other questions for Dorian before we move on and down
I
the
did have
agenda?
a question.
Oh, sure. Is that CJ? Go ahead.
Yes. Hi, Dorian.
Hey, CJ.
I know her from Murray
Yeah, we're
Mom.
Murray moms. We go back.
So my question is with regards to getting the word out with the pictures, you said you already have flyers. Or are you going to get the flyers out? Are you going to then send that to Patrick that can then send it out to the group already? Okay, great.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
will. We had to get, have it vetted, through a couple of folks, and I think that we'll have it approved by the end of the week. And then we're gonna, as aggressively as we can be, try to get the word out. So definitely want to send it to the participants of the roundtable, and then through the alderman's office, GAGDC, neighborhood network. I'm gonna hit them all. So hopefully you guys will see them around, and email some images to be a part of it.
Thank you.
And I was just going to add, I think it was to either CJ or Ms. Wilson's point, the African Adinkra symbolism that, we started deploying a handful of years ago and using art as an economic development tool in Auburn Gresham actually started as an after-school programming effort at Oglesby Elementary School. So we had a teaching artist whose name I know Norma can call out quicker than I, a teaching artist working with the kids at Oglesby Elementary. We also worked with the kids at Joplin and at Westcott as an after-school program. And we started deploying those art renderings at 7901 South Halsted, which will now be the Invest Southwest site number 2. And you guys, they're still on the wall, they're fading. We also kind of tagged the vacant building at 79th and Vincennes, and we just started hitting, as many of the vacant buildings and looking at those vacant buildings and vacant lots as opportunities. And then Maxwell's Demand Justice caught on. And so this has definitely been a movement of highlighting our culture here in this community for a while. So this is awesome, Dorian. Thanks.
Thank you. Because even I just have to say, even the colors are, trying to be representative of what we have seen throughout community. And so not trying to reinvent the wheel, but trying to find some new ways of mixing it up and, continuing the idea of speaking, to community through symbols, through ideas, through culture.
Yeah, this is exciting. Okay, all right. Again, thank you everybody for your
Right.
absolutely. Thanks, Dorian. And obviously, please feel free to come back to the roundtable anytime you feel like we need to get an update on the progress of your work. We're going to move ahead now to our next piece here on the agenda, which are community updates. And with that, we have sorry, hold on. All right, we have the Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corp. I don't know who's speaking, if it's Kaim. Is it Kaim or is it Carlos?
Yeah, I'll go.
All right, let me put you on.
Okay, so I'm Kaim Anderson, Program Manager for SSA 32 and SSA 69. SSA is our special service areas or business districts, and Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corporation manages 2 of them. With regards to our SSA, our security has begun to patrol our corridors. They began yesterday. Their job is to go door to door and check in on every business. They can only do about 5 a day on average, but their job is to hit every business to create relationships. They handle smaller crimes, maybe loitering, things like that. They don't do major crimes. You will have to call 6th District or CPD to handle larger crimes, but they're there and they're in the community and they're accessible to you. We also have a food certification training class coming up. We used to do this annually, but due to COVID, we missed a couple of years, but it's back. It'll be held at Fifth Third Bank, which is 8040 South Ashland, in their community room. This is really to be used for anyone who wants to vend as a food vendor, a Chicago festival. So this is a certification. There's a small nominal fee of $45, which covers the cost of that license or certificate. And that'll be June 9th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We also have a small business forum coming up. This is also annual, June 14th from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. This is your chance to engage or hear from the city and state with regards to some of the grants that are currently open. Those grants would be like the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund or Recovery Grant. Also the SPIF, and there will be banks on hand to talk about lending and any financial needs that you may have, as well as some others. And a lot of newer businesses give testimonials during this forum. So if you do have questions with regards to grants that you've submitted, this is a great opportunity for you to engage those who are managing those grants. We also have the SPIF, which will be opening on our corridor in August of 2022. It opens for the 79th Street corridor. It opens at 9 a.m. Monday, August 1st. And for the 79th and Vincennes TIF, that opens October 3rd. And there will be someone speaking on that during our business forum. We also have our 16th annual 79th Street Renaissance Festival coming up September 10th. This is family friendly. There's typically about 15,000 to 25,000 in attendance. We have scaled it down and spread it out for those concerned with COVID. It was created to really showcase the businesses in our corridor and introduce you to businesses that you may not otherwise know exist along the corridor. And it's a great family event. It's very popular. I enjoy it thoroughly. And that's it for our updates for what's going on in our corridor right now.
Okay, again, we want to thank our corridor manager, Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corporation, and we heard live from Kaim Anderson on some of these updates that are, pertinent information for us to know, to lean into, and to participate in if we have an opportunity to do so. We have a question. I see Ms. Wilson's hand is up. So Ms. Wilson, please take the floor.
Thank you so much for that update in terms of what you're doing relative to the management of the corridor. But I would also like to know what is the opening date for the Healthy Hub. And I'd like to have some specifics because we just want to know. I've talked to about 6 of my neighbors and nobody seems to be aware of what it is. Some of them even thought it was the new building for residents. So can you give us an update on that, when it's going to be open up to the public, with which persons or, which other programs are going to be opening first, second, and, third?
Yeah, certainly. And I think I'll take that. Is that okay, Patrick? Hey, Ms. Wilson. So we haven't.
Hi, Carlos.
Hey there. And I know we've done door-to-door distributions, in the immediate area of the Healthy Hub, but we haven't done that. It's probably been almost a year since we've done that, maybe less. And so we will get our team back, outreach team back out there to do door-to-door distributions with all of the information regarding services that will be in the building, as well as the ribbon cutting, et cetera. And then I just wanted to also mention, and I'll go into some detail here, every Friday, and we've been doing this, since the onset of COVID, we started this rapid resource information line. It's a toll-free number. Actually, matter of fact, maybe normally someone can put it in the chat, 551-241-6209. It's a toll-free number to call in, and I actually are on this 12 to 15-minute kind of virtual community meeting in which we share specifics about the Healthy Hub generally. And in fact, we've had tenants from the Healthy Hub that have come on to share specifics about their services. And so I would strongly suggest all the listeners here to dial in. It's actually every Wednesday at 6 p.m. and every Friday at 6 p.m. But I've joined the Friday meetings to talk specifically about our Healthy Hub, our the Renewable Energy and Urban Farming Campus, and the rest of the what we call the always growing Auburn Gresham movement. So that's every Wednesday and Friday, 6 p.m., 551-241-6209. And it was our way of kind of reaching to residents, seniors and the like during this COVID who were experiencing social isolation, but it's kind of grown from there. So, and we will continue to do that. So that being said, so question number one, we are looking to do a ribbon cutting. We're just kind of finalizing that date and time. So to save the dates, will be going out within the next 2 to 3 weeks, or a couple of weeks, I should say. We're looking at a July 21st date, a 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. program. But our mindset is really, really working out logistics so that residents can meander throughout this building. That will not be fully completed. The good thing is by July 21st, the Miles Square Health and Wellness Center will be up and running, providing, I'm looking at chats while I'm trying to talk, providing the dental services, the primary care services, and the mental health services. Also open by that time will be the University UIC Neighborhood Hub. They'll be open, and so they'll be providing some, there will be free legal services going on out of that third floor space. There will be work to advance the visions of entrepreneurs and supporting those folks who have small businesses or looking to launch small businesses, which is what today's community updates were really about, the small business environment. And then also Heartland Alliance will be open. They'll have a very large office on the third floor, providing workforce development, trainings and support to their clients. They are moving from 400 West 76th Street, or the Stewart Business Center, the old AT&T building, or Ameritech building. It's an AT&T. They'll be moving from there into the Healthy Lifestyle Hub. So those 3 businesses will be up and running when we do the ribbon cutting on July 21st. Subsequently, the Bank of America Advance Center will be opening up. And Elaine, in fact, I spoke to executives at Bank of America today about you particularly, and I think we're going to ask you to kind of be an ambassador of this new Bank of America Advancement Center, which will only be manned or one-manned only a couple of days a week, but primarily it's digital in nature. And so we're going to begin within the next week or two, and let's just call it making the residents more aware what these advancement centers, or B of A advanced centers, are really all about. We're doing a Breakfast and Blues for Seniors event on Saturday, June 11th. They'll be there. So I'll be tapping on your shoulder to help out and sharing the word and making certain that our residents are comfortable with the interaction of a B of A advancement center. BBBS is Big Brothers Big Sisters. Big Brothers Big Sisters, the national mentoring program will be in the building as well. They'll be opening up later in the year along with the GAGDC's office. I'm sorry to say, any GAGDC staffers will likely not be moving into the fourth floor. The fourth floor will not be ready to move in until after our 79th Street Renaissance Festival. So in the fall, so that work will be going on in earnest. Then the Chicago Bears Teaching Kitchen and Training Center, that work is going on as well. And I'll follow up at the next meeting with more specificity. The food concept for the first floor, Mickey's Retro Grill and the cafe, coffee shop, there's more work being there. So all in all, that is a July 21st ribbon cutting, with the pomp and circumstance starting at 10 a.m. With program running to 12, and then really opening it up, opening that building up the way it was envisioned as a building, with windows shining light into the community and welcoming our residents into that building, accessing the services that have long avoided this community.
Thank you. It is certainly exciting to hear about, what has been planned. And I have listened to the rapid program, but that's just ends up being a short window for me. But I certainly applaud the efforts in order to get that information out. My last question is, what are the hours looking like of occupancy for the site? They will come in at what time and possibly end at what time?
Right, and so, we're really building it around the health center, which will now be an immediate care center, actually formerly called a primary care and immediate care center, which is a boom for our community. Their hours will be 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., I believe it is. And I used to know this, but I'm aging now. I think it's 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. It might be 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. But I will say that the restaurant, we will be shutting the restaurant down when the health center closes as well. So this will not be a late night, Mickey's as they are over east on Stony and in other areas. So the building will open up at 7 a.m., for security and the like. And then the health center will open at 8 and the building will shut down at 8 o'clock at night.
Thank you so much. Certainly appreciate that, transparency and information to share, with the residents that I know. And I'm sure you're going to continue to.
Yeah, and so as I mentioned, we will actually do a door-to-door distribution to everyone, like we've done in the past, to make certain that everyone is familiar and comfortable with what's coming into this building, because the intent was that this building was designed based on a quality of life plan and based on the needs that have escaped our community for far too long. I see a chat question, and actually, I know Tim Thomas lives right in that area as well. You'll see the flyer. The food distribution at the Save Away, we did do an anniversary event. It was the 2-year anniversary of the large food distribution that we were doing at the vacant Save a Lot, feeding 1,200 families each week. There's movement on the on the Save a Lot that Patrick, I don't know if you know what's going on with the Save a Lot, but I will tell you that I know that at the mayor's office, they're really hungry to reactivate a grocery option there. So we likely will not do another food distribution out of the Save a Lot. We had initially contemplated a food pantry or something at the Healthy Hub, but the Healthy Hub is packed with way too many services. So Tim, we are looking at other means of addressing the food instability by doing food distribution at another location. So the pain and suffering that you had to deal with on the street will, you won't have to deal with that. And thank you for the 96 and Western reference for those of us, I haven't been, who want to see what a virtual banking proposition looks like with this D of A Advanced Center. Norma and Anderson, did I miss anything, or if there are any other questions?
No, I think you did a great job, and thank you, Carlos. You really did a good job monitoring that chat. The questions are so thoughtful, and I just want to say we will try to make sure we have as many forms of communication as possible. Please make sure you're looking at the sites. Dorian has a new website for the artists. GAGDC is in the process of upgrading www.gagdc.org, and hopefully in the next couple months you'll see that come. But until then, please look at the community portal. We're trying to keep up to date, as well as our website. And Kaim and I will do the best of our ability to make sure any questions that you have answered. Don't need to wait until the roundtable. We're accessible. Patrick's accessible. And so if there are any questions or concerns, please reach out to us.
The virtual business forum, is there a way that, because I think I would strongly recommend all of us to join this business forum, which is a virtual business forum on June 14th in partnership with the 6th District Business Subcommittee. Is there a link anywhere around?
Yes. Yes, and actually they will start flyering all the businesses and the communities. Not all the businesses prefer to have flyers in their window, which we certainly understand, but they will have copies, and there will be some outreach that's starting as early as Monday.
Do you want me to put it in the chat?
Yes, you could put it in the chat, and it's also, you can access from the website. We'll start pushing it out to social media as well. Kaim, you can actually drop the flyer in there as well.
Okay, so the Zoom link you just put in the chat is for
Business forum.
Business
forum. Okay, and then you gave that date already in your report.
Yep. And we'll put this update on the GADC
June
website.
14th. Yeah,
10 a.m. June 14th.
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
This is in partnership with our 6th District Business Subcommittee as well.
All right. Are there any other updates? Ria, I know you've been working with the development team to have a Zoom meeting to talk about some stuff with the community. You just want to give a quick commercial about that for like 15 seconds and give the date if folks haven't had a chance to jump on that. Okay. All right. Okay. So just as an FYI, there's been an invitation sent out. Oh, that was actually yesterday. Oh, yeah, sorry. Did you want to give an update on how that meeting went? All right, she's not in. All right. All right, well, we'll get an update later from that. There was a meeting yesterday on Zoom with Tori Barrett, the owner of the Supper Club, and some folks who are interested in learning more about their operations. And well, we'll get an update on that at the next roundtable to see how that went, to see if that outreach was productive. Tim Thomas has a comment. Go ahead, Tim. Welcome to the roundtable. Feel free to unmute yourself.
Patrick. And Carlos has responded to. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I wasn't going to step on Ria's toes, but I can just give a brief out on last night's conversation. A very productive conversation with Tori Barrett regarding the plans, at least for a component of the development project, that being the supper club element of the project. And we had a very good and transparent conversation regarding that item. I think I saw Mr. Barrett on the call. on this call, in addition to some others from the immediate area, my neighbors, that he took the time to talk with us. And so we appreciate him taking the time to do that. He and his wife, actually, the partners in that endeavor. And he addressed some concern. He spoke to some concerns that we had. And he also was able to talk about what next steps are. Everything is still on the table. It's still not set in stone. And from what we heard, things sound encouraging, but it's still a wait and see proposition, but it is a start, and we appreciate the candor he shared with us regarding the project. Some of my neighbors were on the call as well, or on this call if they wanted to. If I gave the 30,000 foot view, and I don't know how granular you wanted the report out on that to be.
Well, before anyone else jumps in, I see Mr. Price's hand is up. So yeah, Tim, that's a great report. Thank you. I was not at that meeting. So, I want to make sure I step back on certain things to let the community speak freely without the city being there. So I'm happy to hear that. Carlos, you would clap when I say city step back. Okay. But okay. But I thank you for your update. That's a good report. So Anthony Price.
Ms. Wilson says she's clapping too.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Yeah. All right, Mr. Price, go ahead with your comments.
Hi, I'm Anthony Price. I also, I'm the owner of Kickstands Restaurant that's opening on 79th and Bishop. Some in the community have seen it, so now you can put a face with the name. I'm working along with the Alderman's office and coordinating a community outreach similar to the one that was just being discussed, so that the community can ask questions and we can hopefully engage the community and just share what our plans are, our renderings, and how we want to be a added value to the community and a long-term stakeholder. So I'm working with Brittany Burks out of the Alderman's office, and her team should be getting that information out pretty soon. So look forward to it.
No, so I'm glad you jumped on the line here. That's great. Full disclosure, I have seen your application, and I'm working with the department, obviously, on your project. And I think, what this is a sign of, everybody, this is at Loomis, right? This is a little bit down the corridor. And I think it's just another sign that Auburn Gresham is becoming a place where people want to be, and people want to be where people are, right? And certainly for private dollars and, other kinds of things that are happening, people want to be where people are going. So all of these destinations that we're, supporting, and some of the private market is responding. Mr. Price is a private developer. He's looking at doing a restaurant, and this is a good thing. This is a great thing. The more dining that we can provide and see happening on the corridor, whether it be 79th, Ashland, Halsted, or other, this is great for your community. This community is going to have a lot of places that people can actually walk to, grab some lunch, grab some dinner, grab some breakfast, grab some good, chit chat with your folks, your neighbors, your friends. And I think this is a good thing. So I'm very glad that you jumped on this call, Mr. Price. We look forward to trying to make that project happen down there. I think it's a good building and one that needs revitalization. So we'll keep working with you, brother, on that. So congratulations on this first step. Ms. Wilson has her hand up. Okay.
Yes, we only see each other once a month. So I have to ask all my questions. I would like to know if you can tell us or send me, for those who, if it's just me, a listing of what are the next steps for the hearings that are relative to the funding of the housing development of the mixed use project. I understand that it's already over budget, and I'm thinking they're asking for more TIF money, which is supposed to be used for schools, et cetera. But can you please give us some information as to when are the next hearings, the dates? Because there was a hearing that we missed that was right after like a day or so, a little while after our last meeting, that is a roundtable meeting, and we were not informed of it, and maybe, we're not supposed to be, I don't know, but it's public, so I'm sure it is. So can you give me a listing of the hearings and the dates for the continuation of this process for the development across the street from the Healthy Hub? Because I see it all as one project. I don't see it as Healthy Hub and development, because all of this is impacting our neighborhood, and to act as though they're two separate entities is just mind-boggling for me. This is why I had a concern for, and I've been asking all along, how many people are going to be in the Healthy Hub. I'm glad, so glad we're going to have services, medical services for our community. I'm glad that we're going to have services with the University of Illinois doing outreach, etc., mental health. But all of these entities bring people, and people drive. And where are they going to go? And then with the building that's going to be constructed, this is still going to be my song. Where are the people going to park? And and I'm going to assume that somebody's making some plans somewhere, because they know everybody is not going to be on Metro. They are not going to come on the bus. So those who are smarter than I'm hoping you're going to share some information for me and my long-term residents. Thank you, Mr. Brutus. With love. I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Oh, I said I felt the love through my computer. Thank you. So let me try to give you a good answer, and hopefully leave you satisfied. But I remember at the last meeting that we had was April 28th. And I informed the community that the project was heading to the legislative process, with the first step being a meeting at the Community Development Commission, which was on May 10th. So on May 10th, the project received approval from that commission to proceed. So what happens is when you go to and I'm going to call it CDC, it's Community Development Commission. So when you take it to the CDC, we take it with a number of authorizations that the department is seeking approval from that body in order to advance the project to City Council. So we have to go to CDC. So what we did was we were seeking the authority to designate Evergreen Imagine LLC as the developer. That's number one. Number two, we were seeking the authority to enter into a redevelopment agreement with Evergreen Imagine LLC. Furthermore, we were seeking the authority to I don't have it in front of me, but we were seeking like 3 or 4 things that will give us the authority to move to City Council. And Ms. Reed, I know you're writing the story, so if you want, please reach out to me via email, and I can send you the list of things that we were seeking the authority to get approval from the commission in order to advance to City Council. Please do not write that we only saw 3 out of 4. I can give you the whole list. So we did that. We went to CDC. We got the authority. We also had to seek the authority to seek alternative proposals for the corner site, which was 757 West 79th Street, which is, we've developed the 2-building concept, right? Reducing density at the 838 site and, developing the other lot. So we had to go to CDC for that as well, because that was not part of the original request for proposals, right? So on one hand, we're closing out the RFP. On the other hand, now we have to include the other lots. So that lot wasn't ever noticed publicly. So we had to do that, which is now still in a 30-day period. Now, when we get done with the 30-day period of noticing the intent to sell the lot at 757 to Evergreen Imagine LLC, in addition to the other lot, we will then go to the Chicago Plan Commission. The Chicago Plan Commission is a body where we have to get approval when we are talking about land use, right? So, so we have to get approval from both bodies. And so the next step is the June meeting of the Chicago Plan Commission, which is going to be on June 16th. So June 16th, this project will go before the Chicago Plan Commission. It won't be a presentation because it's just a land sale, and therefore it'll be on the omnibus agenda. They'll still have to vote that, but there's no presentation. If you watch the meeting on Zoom, there will be no presentation. If you blink, you'll miss it because they'll say, you know, we call for the roll call vote to get a quorum, and then they'll go to the omnibus items, and then there'll be a few of those items on there, land sales, and then they'll kind of just take them all as one item, and then they'll pass them, and then they'll go to the other bigger items, which are like the plan developments and the lakefront protection ordinances and those kinds of things that actually developers come and they present. So after the Plan Commission, you know, here's the item, and if they approve it, then the next step for us is to go to City Council. Okay, so our objective is to go to City Council on the next meeting with an introduction of an ordinance to convey all those lots, and also to enter into an agreement, a redevelopment agreement. The redevelopment agreement is for a land sale plus city financial assistance. And you all know this project is getting tax increment financing support as well as housing fund support in the form of tax credits. So that will be an ordinance that we introduce. We're targeting June 22nd. So Plan Commission for June 16th, and then there'll be an introduction of an ordinance into City Council on June 22nd. And so between June 22nd and whenever we pass the ordinance, because in City Council, there's an introduction of an ordinance, and then it gets referred to a committee by the Rules Committee. And in the way that it's structured, this ordinance will be most likely referred to the Committee on Finance because it has finance included in the overall redevelopment agreement that we would be drafting, you know, with the developer team. So it will most likely go to Finance Committee. There'll be a Finance Committee meeting probably in the month of July. And then what typically happens in the month of August, City Council recesses. There's no city business from the council in August. And so I think the plan would be then between now, after the introduction, you know, they would finalize the terms and all that stuff with the development team. And then we would try to get that heard in Finance Committee and then passed out probably in September. And then once it's passed City Council, then we would then seek to close, right? There's a closing, right? And then, you know, typically then once it's closed, there may be some ceremonial groundbreaking or what have you with the development team and the mayor's office and the community, and you too, Ms. Wilson, the alderman, et cetera, you know, because these are, you know, very important projects, not only to the mayor, but certainly to the community and in these neighborhoods where the Invest Southwest as well as other projects are located. So all these projects are important. So there probably will be, you know, a photo opportunity event down the road after closing. So that's kind of what we're aiming for. What you will see in the next few weeks, however, in conjunction with the timing of the grand opening of the Healthy Lifestyle Hub, you will see probably in the next month and a half, you'll see some activity at the 838, excuse me, across the street on the RFP site. We are looking to have some decorative fencing around that site. So as to advertise, what's coming. And so folks can hopefully get excited. Obviously, we're going to be celebrating the grand opening of the Healthy Lifestyle Hub. And when you look across the street, we would love to have, some signage up there as well to advertise the Invest Southwest project coming, in the immediate near future. So I am sorry that if you missed the CDC meeting, certainly it's on video now, doesn't do you probably any good. I just, gave you the synopsis, but if you want to watch that, we can send a link to you. But yes, that is what
the purpose of
what's
my
on tap.
asking was thank you, because I did look at the process for the CDC and there was an opportunity for you to write a response. And
Yeah, there's a
because we
public
were
comment
not-
period. Yeah.
Because we were not informed of it, I could not write a response. So that's why I wanted to know what the other, processes are. So if there is an opportunity to write a response, I would know. So that's why I was asking the question.
No, I think I understood the question.
Transparency is, it's important to us always. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me, are there any more follow-up questions to that?
Yes, I have a question. This is Tim Thomas.
Oh, hey, Tim.
Hi. Part of the question, some of the questions I have speak to the TIF piece and the budget, at least from an article, and I'm glad to see Ativia is on the call, because in the write-up on the piece from the meeting that we found out about late, it sounds as if the project is going to now be a $39 million project when it started out as a $20 million project, and for TIF fund.
So I'm glad you asked that question. I think I know where you're going. Let me explain to
Well,
you.
I'm not finished. Thank you.
My apologies. My apologies.
It's my reading that the 79th Street corridor TIF expires December 31st, 2022. And it happens to have cumulative revenue of roughly $15 million, at least from the 2020 audit of those funds, which seems to kind of back into a number of sorts. And we're just wondering what would lead a project that was sole sourced, basically, with only one respondent, to almost double in price. And is that what happens when you only have one respondent? And would the project and the taxpayers, have their TIF dollars go toward, and I don't know if there are any of the developers on the call that could speak to why the price is doubled from what the original proposal was. If there was a $40 million project, maybe more than one vendor would have responded to the RFP. So, these are the sorts of things that people ask. I put my CPA hat on, but we're just wondering, are we better off getting a project that's doubling in cost? Or as Commissioner Cox said, you either get this or you'll get nothing, which you said last year about this time. For 100% markup, is it worth examining putting this back out again? And thank you for your explanations, Patrick. Explain it to me like I'm a third grader, because some of it kind of, gets in the glaze over territory. So yeah, help us understand how this is working like this.
Well, I certainly want to insult your intelligence by talking to you like a third grader, Tim. You just said you're going to put your CPA hat on, so I know that you're going to understand what I'm going to do.
It's rhetorical, Patrick.
I'm being facetious. I'm tongue in cheek. What I will say is this. So yes. So I'm glad Miss Rita's here. Let me try to clarify. So in the beginning, all right, when the department evaluated this site as an opportunity site prior to the release of the RFP, the department did a financial model of what we thought what it would take to bring about a development that brought mixed use to that single site, 838 West 79th Street. And it was our internal analysis that a project would probably pencil out to around $19 million and change, with a city subsidy of around $9.3, $9.4 million. That's projected. So it is that which we put into the request for proposal as the probable financial model of what it would take to bring a project with mixed uses to bring to this market. I saw your question, Norma. I'm going to get to that. So that was the analysis, right? So when we did get the response to the RFP, you're right, we only got one response. That response, and I hope people remember this very clearly, was that it was a 56 unit building, and the projected budget for that response was around, I think, the numbers that we analyzed, that our analysis came up with. So it was around a 19 point something million dollar project. Now, you got to remember, all this is proposed, right? It's all proposed until it's not proposed, right? We had some issues with the design. We kind of workshopped it a little bit with the development team and their design architect team. And the community had some concerns about that kind of building. And so the second version of the response was a 62 unit building that penciled out to a little bit more. I think it was 20 something million dollars. It was north of the original response. That version of the design, which was the 62 unit design, was what was announced as the winning respondent by the mayor in March of 2021. That is the version that was, for a very long time, even though after it was changed through our workshop, that kept getting advertised in the newspapers as this is what's coming to Auburn Gresham, when that wasn't reflecting the workshop changes that we were undertaking in community alongside working with you all as partners. And so that version kept being reflected as the project, 62 unit, 5-story, 20 something plus million dollars, and everybody, kind of misunderstanding what the project was still evolving to. Okay. And at that point, we were already starting to hear, because remember, that was 2021 for the most part, we were already starting to hear across the board, across the city, that development was, projects were costing, a lot more due to a lot of supply chain issues, cost of materials. And so we were seeing at the city in DPD that what it was going to bring these projects, these type of transformative projects to bear was around 50 to 55% subsidy, okay? Meaning that if a project was gonna pencil out to be like $20 million, it was going to cost probably, around 10 or $11 million of city subsidy to make that project feasible. And that's, 10 million or so dollars. I'm just giving you the example of the 50% ratio of city support, whether it be TIP, whether it be tax credits, whether it be neighborhood opportunity fund, large or small, plus whatever the developer came with to the table with in terms of equity, foundational support, or new market tax credits, or whatever on the development sourcing of side of their equity portion of the project. So that's what we were discovering early on in the process of what it was taking to, bring these projects to bear. Then, as you know, we kind of really heard you guys when the community said that that site was too dense at 62 units. We started to bring that down, and we realized that we had more sites in the Invest Southwest corridor that we could develop. And actually, there's more city lots along Halsted, both north and south of 79th and Halsted at the epicenter. So we discovered that we could still bring a project to bear that kind of gave the developer that critical mass of units in order for that to actually be still eligible for tax credits, because in the housing business, you kind of need, you know, a certain number of units to really kind of bring all of the housing assistance that housing developers usually are looking for in order to kind of help, you know, subsidize these projects and bring them to the market. So we had a 2-site project. So, but now that we have a 2-site project, right, Tim, you're right. Everybody here, we have 2 buildings. So functionally, we have 2 buildings. And so now, you know, what was required, because they were getting housing funds and we were getting a little bit more in detail about the project's sourcing, financing, and the overall budget. Because a housing project is seeking housing funds, they are required by policy to have 3 general contractor bids. So it took us a while because they had to submit the developer an RFP to solicit general construction bids. I wish these guys were here tonight, but in that process, we were still waiting for what we were hoping for would be a total development cost with final numbers, right? And so, but the numbers that we do have today reflect the pricing of today's market of supply of materials. You know, like if this was 2008 or 9, it would not be this expensive to do this project, except for, you know, we just went through a recession and all this stuff that we just went through the last 2 years that affected the global market and the global economy. So we have a 2-building project. We do have a 39, you know, and change, I think it's $39.8 million project. We do have the authority from CDC to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with a TIF ask of up to $15 million from the TIF. Now, you did ask about the 79th Street Corridor TIF. The 79th Street Corridor TIF is actually one that is set to expire. So we're in a situation here that when we have an expiring TIF, and I'll say that we are taking action right now to extend this TIF. So TIFs that are expiring, they can be extended, but that is an act that can only take place at the state level, at the Illinois General Assembly. So we would have to go make the case to the state to extend this TIF. When the TIF is also expiring, you know, you got money in that TIF. The better situation for the city would be to use it and not lose it. So we would want to, if we decided to let that TIF sunset, we would want to exhaust the remaining increment that's in the TIF for projects. Or what happened under Mayor Daley, which was an unprecedented act when he first did it, which has been done several times now, is that the TIF has been used to, TIF increment has been returned to the taxing bodies, right? So like we've used that to, I forget the phrase. So the city can declare a surplus, sorry. So the city in the past has declared a surplus, and those TIF funds went back to their individual taxing bodies, such as schools or the county, what have you. So there's, 2 or 3 things that can happen, but this particular TIF, 79th Street Corridor TIF, has been designated to be extended because we have a lot of activity in this corridor that we know that we're going to need a source of funding to support the projects, right? We're just not in a position right now to depend solely on neighborhood opportunity funds to use as a tool to help write down the costs of projects that we deem as ones that we would love to work with in partnership with the developers, whether that be some of the small business that we are seeing exploding on 79th Street through the work of Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corp. And before, Chatham Business and also the city working out there to market our tools, whether it be the NOF large or whether it be, SPIF, right? So we need, we believe we need that TIF to be extended, and the TIF extensions are for 12 additional years. And so this once in a lifetime surplus money that the city and state has received from the last two presidential administrations with all the stimulus money, we really can't count on that as an annual thing. That's like a moment in time. And, so far the city budget office and finance and the mayor's office are trying to make sure that the allotment and the appropriation that the city got is spread out evenly over all the departments, not just DPD. So I don't know if that answered your question. I hope I did. And I tried to give you some basis and rationale and hopefully explained a little bit more in detail about what the project that we have for this particular development needs is and was, what they were seeking. And, it's not like any other, TIF. We've got projects all over the place, all over the city. In Chicago, it's really hard to see projects be imagined without subsidy. That's just the way the business is, in Chicago. So,
no, it's understood. It's understood, Patrick. Thank you. That was very comprehensive. The people that I've been talking with pretty much expected that response because, not in the vernacular of the streets, I guess, flipping the script. The residents pushed back, and so now the residents, to try to, if a form of appeasing with the multiple sites as opposed to the highly dense, affordable site, now there's an increase in costs. And supply chain and logistics and COVID are also, one prone to wear the jacket for cost increase as well. So that pretty much is in alignment with what the response was expected. But thank you. That we wanted to confirm and to hear it direct from the source. Thank you for that. And it would be good to have the developers on just to hear from them as well, maybe for the next meeting.
Yeah, no, I'll have them here as often as necessary to provide updates on the project. You guys know that. Please, we'll have them back obviously for the next meeting. But yeah, that's kind of like the state of play right now. Okay, so I see your question, Norma. Let me ask you about this. You want to ask me about this fencing. So what you've seen on the corridor right now with the little house in the prairie fence, that is simply the mayor's, sorry, Carlos, that's simply the mayor's office greening initiative where we've kind of just wanted to identify that we've got some lots and, want to take care of them. But that is not going to be the type of fencing that we're going to have at the RFP site. It's going to be, yeah, you better get ready. It's going to be artwork design type thing. We're spending money on that. And, it's going to be, it's going to be decorative. It's going to be prominent. It's going to be, maybe 8-9 feet high. It's going to be a fence, like a construction staging fence. And the impetus behind that was, I don't know if anyone here has driven past the Obama Center construction site. And when you drive past that site, you just simply see the barricaded walls and the green construction fence, and you see the cranes and you see the dust, right? And I think a lot of people, at DPD and maybe some other folks in the mayor's office thought, man, what a missed opportunity. They could have had some of that decorative wall. So like you guys know, in some of these real estate vacancies that people are listing, you have the decorative window covers, right? With the people on the window going, hi, rent me, right? Lease. So it's kind of that idea of like what that construction site missed in terms of really marketing that site. They could have had some pictures on the wall. They could have did a construction wall with, Michelle Obama on there, right? People would have been driving past that thing every day, seeing a rendering of the site and seeing Michelle Obama's face and Obama's face on the big construction wall while they were inside the fence line doing all the stuff that they're doing now. And so it's with that kind of idea that we are envisioning around some of these next sites for where our projects are going to be located, to kind of have that and not miss an opportunity to continue marketing not only the mayor's vision of transformation through the Invest Southwest, but certainly, signaling what is coming by showing a rendering or showing some beautiful artwork. And, you will heard this evening from Dorian what kind of artwork we like in Auburn Gresham, one that harkens to our ancestors and our culture and just kinds of different type of things. And so, we're working with DCASE, the mayor's office, as well as DPD to really come up with, I think, what I hope is something that's going to be fabulous while we're in this construction stage. But that's going to hopefully be timed so that it arrives on site by July. Are there any other questions? Because we've been at this now for 96 minutes, and I know that you all want to get to watching the 9 o'clock news and hear who else is running for mayor, because it seems like everybody's running for mayor. So I fully anticipate Carlos and his Chicago Bears money to jump in next. So, okay. All right. All right, Miss Elaine, I'm going to read your comments quietly to myself. All right, let me address
Just a
your
thought, just
yeah.
just my thoughts.
No, but let me address
I've
that
been
because I
living
think
with
it's
this.
important, and I'll make this my final comment. So, okay, real quick, Tim, Oglesby School. So just so you know, every agency or department has their own budget office and their own development and their own real estate and their own intergovernmental affairs. And so like CPS, when they need TIF, they have to also go to the mayor's office and budget and make the case for some of the TIF funding that they might need for funding some of their capital improvement or what have you. So that's absolutely, I think, Oglesby School, right? Yeah, but certainly, they also, like, when we build new schools through the Public Buildings Commission, that's typically a TIF funded project to some degree. And, that's the city actually building that, the city being, CPS and PBC building all of our city buildings. But real quick, Miss Elaine, yes, the city owns a lot of lots, but the idea of Invest Southwest was first to kind of build out our commercial corridors, focusing on a central hub in each neighborhood. So if you look across the spectrum of Invest Southwest in Auburn Gresham, we are looking at 79th and Halsted as the hub, and the idea to build from the center out. We're seeing that explosion right now. You've got projects at 650 West 83rd. You've got NOF small projects along the corridor. We got, so identifying the hub as the center, building off the healthy lifestyle hub, pun intended. If you look at Englewood, we're starting at 63rd and Halsted as the center by finishing up the Englewood Mall Phase 2, which is, the second phase of development after that mall was built in 2014, 2015. If you look at South Shore, we're certainly looking at the entire corridor, but we first identified an opportunity down by the metro station on the far east end of Exchange. If you look at, Austin and West Humboldt Park, we're looking at opportunities for developing along those corridors by focusing on either Kedzie or Pulaski in West Humboldt Park, but certainly in Austin, we're focusing at Cicero as the hub. So Cicero in Chicago. So, we're looking at the hub. In Bronzeville, we looked at where closer to 47th and King, and our first RFP site was immediately adjacent to the Harold Washington Cultural Center, right there across from the Bronzeville Artist Loft, where also is located the Gallery Gouchard. So we're looking at where we can concentrate, where there's activity, because we want these investments to be successful and marketable, one that could attract, private investment, but also certainly where if a developer lands with commercial retail and or housing, we want those places to be successful. So we, that was a decision. That's the analysis.
That,
Okay.
Mr.
All right.
Richards. You good on that? The only thing is, I still see it as totality. The Healthy Hub has its mission. The Healthy Hub is bringing in thousands of people that are going to be there, and they're going to need space. So to me, it would have been a better plight to give the Healthy Hub the support they need, as opposed to deciding that this is the space where you need to have influx of housing.
So what kind of support are you?
On 79th Street, that is a business corridor. But we don't have to keep going through this, because I understand that the powers that be decided this. Regardless, the community did not want it. And as it was stated, and I was at the meeting when Mr. Cox said, you either get this or you get nothing. So that is a problem. It will continue to be a problem for me, as it was when all of this first, all of the meetings that were done with the Department of Planning and Development, Bureau of Planning and Design, Southwest planning region was done under COVID in March while we were in lockdown, and you get one request, one response to the request for proposal. This is why we, as a long-term resident since 1963, this is why I have a problem, because I'm wedded to this community. So I still feel that the support should have been with the Healthy Hub and the mission that they have on a 4-story building. And they're going to bring in thousands of people who are going to need health care, and they're going to be driven here. Where are these people going to go? Obviously, the mayor, the Department of Planning, nobody really cares how it's going to impact those of us who are directly impacted by cars. The alley coming down my block now is it's a mess. It's full of holes. It's full of, it needs to be repaved. And that's because of what has been going on with the Healthy Hub. And I believe it's going to be fixed at some point in time. But it is an example of what happens when you have an inordinate amount of traffic in one area. So I do respect your response, and but remember, I live in this community. I'm going to be directly I'm going to be directly affected by people, the actors who are going to come in, and then we're having a supper club, and so then in nighttime there will be additional people coming in. See, it's all things that you can say we're working on, but when you don't live here, when you're not affected, I think we have another feeling about it. That's all. And I appreciate your explanation, but just remember, I'm the baby who's being thrown in the bath water, and it's going to be very hot. The other people just think of the ideas. The idea thinkers do not live in what they are, the requests of the ending of their, what their ideas are going to, how they're going to affect us. I'm sorry I took up so much time. And every time I try to say I'm not going to get upset, but I get upset because as African-American people, a rule follower who paid their taxes, who dedicated their lives to children, and then in my senior years, I'm concerned about where I'm going to, how I'm going to get in and out of my house. I want the same quality of life that other people want. And forgive me, people.
You're good. You're good. All right. There's Tim, is your hand up still from the last time, or you have another question? Because I've got the charities in front of you.
Oh, no. Sorry about that, President. Take it down.
Okay. All right. So I'll just let your comment speak for itself. I think you made your point. Ms. Wilson, I appreciate your comment. I'm sure all of the neighbors here on the phone also
No
do.
response needed. Thank you. No response needed or expected.
Well, I can give you a response, but I don't know if
it's not needed. I mean, everybody want to go, they may be at home, but they got to be tired.
I'm here as long as you guys want to talk, but Helen or Crystalline, I don't know which one have you had your hand up first, but let's go with Miss Helen Cherry. What's your comment?
Hello, and
hey.
I just want to say this quickly. Don't want to pull this out. I'm agreeing 100% with Ms. Wilson. My daughter and I, my husband, all of us are in 100% agreement. I'm 2 doors down from Ms. Wilson, 4 doors, 5 doors down on that same alley with as where Tim lives. So we totally agree with the inconvenience with the alley and all of that. as Ms. Wilson said, no use for comment. It might need another letter or whatever. But you don't live here, you haven't been here for 30, 40, 50 years. And what is happening is the quality of life, something that Tim had mentioned in one of our meetings, is being taken away. And you keep talking around parking, more people and all that. All I'm trying to say is I agree 100% with what Tim has said and with what Elaine has said. You don't have to answer it because I think it's going to have to be revisited in writing. Thank you.
Miss Crystalline Charity?
Yes, Crystalline or Chris, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's quite all right. I also want to highly concur with my mother, Elaine and Tim. Ria's been on, of course, major in this advocacy for our quality of life here in Auburn Gresham. One of the pieces that I mentioned with the Barretts last night was, have you been here in the neighborhood just to visit late at night if you're going to have a supper club, or 7-8 p.m. when there is a lot of activity, a lot of foot and vehicular traffic. Bottom line, be in this area in the evening. Oh, do you want to go to a grocery store? There's nothing around. Oh, let me go to the bank and you go to the ATM. There's nothing around. And these are things that have high priority, as Elaine mentioned as well. Having emphasis of bettering the healthy hub with the spaces that are going to be occupied by these two residential / retail areas is a better fit for this area. We have nothing like this in this area, and that's not a thing that is needed in this area. So again, we do feel that the priorities are in the wrong places. And, we are here. We know what is needed. So we do want to keep emphasizing, and as my mother said, to revisit and in writing and more officially to emphasize that the neighborhood needs things that are not being addressed and emphasized. Thank you.
All right. I thank you all for your comments. Again, I think, these meetings are productive. I will again state for the record here that the city is working to address the other areas that people have mentioned since the beginning of time, which are parking, grocery, and more, options to refill some of these vacant buildings through some kind of other operator or adaptively reused center. So we are working to do those things. Just please understand, we could build a grocery store tomorrow, but for two things. The city doesn't have a department of construction where we actually build stuff. So we'd have to get a developer, and then we'd have to, work with that developer on a budget to build that building. And then number two, we would have to find a grocery store operator. They're just not, falling off the trees looking for communities to invest in. And so, that is a larger, longer recruitment effort to identify an interested grocer that would want to come into this particular community at this time. And so I just think that, academically, if you look at the if then and the chicken and the egg and what comes first is usually, to bring a grocer into a community, you need to demonstrate that there are, you know, the kinds of residual incomes and the rooftops that all kinds of grocers, retailers, they want to see these things. Now, we know as Black people that we will support retail, commercial. We are consumers. We will buy stuff. We will support those businesses. But retailers have a different, you know, marketing process that they go through to underwrite, you know, and the people at GAGDC who work in the small business, you know, realm, they understand this. You guys know that you just can't say Walmart come or Whole Foods come. They're going to have to do a whole data dive, right? And make a determination. But the shell, we could build a grocery store tomorrow. You know, these two other buildings, CVS and the Bank of America and the Save-A-Lot, those are 3 existing buildings right now that are empty. You know, say whatever you want to say about why they left. The fact that they left is significant. The fact that we are, you know, aware of it, we're trying to, whether it be us or our partners, I think, you know, there's a lot of effort being put into trying to get those 3 buildings reoccupied with something. Grocery, retail, long-term use, short-term use, lease, straight up purchase. But we have shared with you on a few occasions that, for example, CVS, they have a lease that expires in 2032. And they're not interested in right now, you know, shutting down that lease with the owner of that building. And, you know, so that's been a hard conversation to crack that cookie, right? But we're working to try to, you know, do something at that building, and hopefully there'll be something that we can announce, you know, within the next couple of months. But, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's going on behind the scenes that, you know, we're not in a position to share with you every single step we make, you know, and that's just, you know, the way the business works. I mean, like, there's stuff that I don't even know about, believe it or not. And I'm the project manager for Auburn Gresham. Yeah, you're laughing, but I tell you the truth, there is stuff that I don't even know about. But I guarantee you, as much as I do know, I can tell you the city is making efforts because there's a lot of money being poured into this community. I say that at the start of every roundtable to remind you exactly of how much of the investments that are being made in this community. And I even forgot to tell you, we have an $11.2 million bond-funded streetscape program coming to this community, as well as another $120,000 or so that we're working with on a planning study with Metro. Like, we are working in this community. There's a lot of money being poured in here. So, like, of course, our interest is to make sure that our money is being put on top of good money. So that's why we are working feverishly to try to reoccupy these buildings. And so where everybody says, hey, we need more parking, we need more grocery, we need this, like, we hear you, we know that, we understand this. But again, we just can't build a grocery store tomorrow without a grocer, right? And we just can't get a grocer without demonstrating that there are investments that are coming to this community that make those kinds of things attractive to those people who say, I want to go to that community because they got a, you know, they got 58 units of people coming. There's going to be some new incomes. There's going to be people that walk to the store, you know, or whatever, or wherever that store is. So just, you know, I hope by this point, after 20 plus meetings and over 2 years of, you know, engaging and hosting this meeting and seeing many of you in person in real life, that I have enough credibility with this group here, where if I say something, that you can believe it. I know it's not church, because I'll say if God said it, I believe it. But if I say something, hopefully you can give me enough credibility that you know that I'm not, you know, giving you a half truth. I'm trying to give you as much truth and transparency as I possibly can. And I'm telling you that we are working behind the scenes, and we're not always in a position to tell you everything because, you know, that's just not the way stuff happens.
We understand that, you know, and but I would just say, because of what you just said, the building that they proposed, it's not even mixed income. You're bringing in, and we do want everyone to have and live in a decent, in a good home environment, but you're bringing in the buildings that for many who will have minimal disposable income. And then when you say that the stores, they're going to look for people who have income, disposable income. So, you know, it's like we're talking out of both sides of our mouths here. Because
first of
if
all,
I
I
remember
gotta
the TIF
stop.
money, anybody who comes in with a voucher will be able to get an apartment, and that's fine.
Where
But
they
it's
getting
just
where are
not
they getting the voucher
disposable
from?
income. It's not
Where are they
disposable
getting the voucher from?
What do
You
mean?
just told everybody here that they're going to be getting a voucher. Where are they getting the voucher from?
They already have vouchers. People have vouchers for apartments.
From where? From where?
I've never had a voucher, so I don't know the procedure. But
So
I
you're
do know that
but you're
many people
probably-
have vouchers because, and I think the builder said that anyone who comes to the site, and if they have a voucher, they would be able to get an apartment. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be. I'm only speaking to what you just said relative to disposable income. And that's what a store and people would want. And we're going to have persons who may not have that much disposable income.
Well, I'm going to say this for the last time, that number one, you know, what the developer said, I think is a legal explanation about, you know, rights and tenant rights and all that kind of stuff. So if somebody comes with a voucher, then, you know, they have to consider them in their application for vacancy if one exists at the buildings. Number one. Number two, this project is not being funded with any CHA money. So therefore, this is not a low-income housing development. You guys need to separate the idea that the funding tool is called low-income housing tax credit, which I think everybody here on the city side and developer side has acknowledged sucks. That terminology sucks. It conveys the wrong message, but that is the name of the actual tax credit tool. Low income housing tax credit doesn't mean that you're going to get low income housing people. And unfortunately, that has been drilled down into those who think this is going to be the worst case scenario in terms of the people type that's going to be at this building. And for some reason, you know, some people have conjured up the image that these people are going to come in here with the vouchers, they're going to tear the building up, and they're going to be out here with their Section 8, loitering and being the worst representation of our community living at this location.
I never said anything like that.
Can I finish? Can I finish? Can I finish? I
No,
just
but
want to
you can
finish.
put that in my mouth.
I didn't say you said it. I didn't say you said it. I didn't say you said it. But the videotape is running here. The transcript is on the bottom of the screen. I didn't say Miss Wilson said. I didn't say that. What I'm saying is this is not that project. This is not going to be that development. It's not going to be that. The average, the affordable rent in this particular census tract, the zip code, this market, this community is basically almost the same as what a market rate rental is. It's around $1,000, $1,100. That's the market rate, and that's around the affordable rate in this particular market. We're not in the Northside market. We're not in the Brownsville market. We're not in the Far South market. We're in the Auburn Gresham market. And in this market, the data says that the market rate rent and the affordable rate rent are around the same. So when we're talking about affordable housing and the units at X amount of whatever, we're talking around the market rate for Auburn Gresham. So that's the story. That's the real story. This is not a CHA. There's no CHA money in this at all. So we are not obligated to create units and set aside for 33% of the units. That's not this project. So I just, you know, we've said that before. We'll say it again.
We never said that. You did say that.
You said voucher, and the only voucher business in town is CHA, and we're not doing CHA. And
okay,
I'm sorry
well,
I raised my voice, but you keep saying voucher.
I can stand corrected, but I
saying
did
voucher.
recall, well, maybe I'm calling it the incorrect thing because I have never had anything. I paid my rent and my mortgages my life. So please forgive me for using the incorrect term. But I did recall that the developer did say, because of the law, as you said, that if someone came with a voucher, And whatever it's called, I don't know. Please forgive my ignorance because that's not my square. But they would be afforded an apartment. And I don't see them as bad people. Okay, because I worked my whole life out of students who were coming from public housing. So I know they're good people. So you can't, I don't have that in my mind that they're going to be laudering and all of that, because one of the things that was said is that they will be managed. And I'm going to assume that there will be a management. And so to that end. So please don't think I'm thinking that, because I'm assuming that once you build a building, you'll do the best you can to get people there. But I know you can get people who've never had a voucher and they can tear up your place and they can be paying $2,000 a month. So let's not put that on me. And I didn't say you said it. So we'll just leave that alone. I'm still gonna go back to my point is I'm supporting the mission of the Healthy Hub. And I think that was, and I think that was important. That's all.
People, this is a great community. This is a great community. You guys are getting a lot that other folks aren't getting. I'm not saying that you have to be grateful because I said that, judge us on the results. Everybody here who's, filling a gap in service or otherwise is contributing to Auburn Gresham's revitalization. That is important. That is the big takeaway. That's the headline, okay? Write that story, tell no lies, and share the overall awesome plan to move forward in this neighborhood. This is going to be one that in 10 years, you're going to look back and say, man, we got a lot of stuff done here. And the image and the transformation of this neighborhood has changed so much that I enjoy walking to the corner to get me an ice cream cone. Okay. And that is what we're working for, the community for 5 to 7 to 10 years from now. And, for now, baby steps, but we shall make no small plans. And with that, I thank you all for enduring another Auburn Gresham Roundtable, meeting number 19. These meetings, again, are opportunities for us to engage. Remember, there is a steering committee with the planning study team that is an opportunity for engagement. There is this platform for engagement. There is now our corridor manager, GAGDC, who has their platform for engagement. There is the streetscape team from CDOT that has an engagement component to their work as well. We are providing opportunities for you all to elevate your voices so that we exactly know how you feel about the things that are being proposed, so that your input can help shape the direction of how those plans are executed. And so with that, I thank you again. The next tentative date for the roundtable shall be June 30th. That's the tentative date. We'll work and build toward that. And hopefully we will have an agenda that will be equal to the task of bringing to you all something that you love. And I'll make sure I have the development team here for that meeting to, continue providing us an update. And at that point, we'll be out of the legislative process, and hopefully we'll have something more impactful and good to tell you. And with that all, it's 8:05. I wish you all a great night. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And again, happy June. Father's Day is coming up. And to all the fathers in the room, I wish you well, because we only have 168 hours a week to be impactful for our young children and our young men. And Shaka Rawls, tomorrow's the last day of Leo. So congratulations to your graduating class and those who are next in line to graduate from your esteemed institution of academic excellence. Good night, everybody, and I'll see you at the next one.
Good job, Patrick.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend.
Great job.
Happy early Father's Day.
Thank you for letting our voices be heard.
Yes.
Great job, Ms. Wilson.